Have you ever stopped to think about how many incredible stories are wasted because of a rushed judgment? How often is someone underestimated just because they're wearing the wrong uniform, speak in a different tone, or carry a simple look in their eyes? It's still all too common. Many still believe that wisdom comes with status, that leadership wears a suit, and that only those with fancy titles deserve to be heard. And it was exactly in this kind of setting, a luxurious law firm, that everything began. She walked those halls every day, a cleaning bucket in one hand and her dignity in the other. No one knew her name. Some called her the cleaning lady, while others didn't even look her in the eye. The smiles she got were forced, the kindnesses condescending. What no one knew, or maybe didn't even care to know, was that the woman with the quiet, steady gaze carried far more than rags and disinfectants. Her name was Helena, and her story could never be reduced to a uniform. Helena held a degree in business administration and a postgraduate degree in people management. She had worked abroad, led projects, saved contracts, and transformed corporate cultures long before many of the people in that office even knew how to format a PowerPoint. But life, as it often does to those who dare to be great without looking the part, took a turn. A family crisis, health issues at home, and she had to start over. She accepted the first dignified job she found, with her head held high, even if all others saw was the mop in her hands and not the weight she carried in her heart. For months, Helena listened. She observed. She mentally noted down management mistakes, communication breakdowns, bad decisions made out of ego. She saw talent go unnoticed and incompetence get promoted. It was like the whole firm was on autopilot, where the loudest voices belonged to those who listened the least. That's when Helena started crafting a plan, not one of revenge, but of purpose. A quiet plan, a powerful one, a plan rooted in something that place had long forgotten: respect. On one of those ordinary mornings, while cleaning the meeting room before an important investor gathering, Helena accidentally overheard a revealing conversation. 3 partners were discussing how to hide company losses in a report. They laughed, mocked younger employees, and treated ethical decisions like minor inconveniences. All while Helena wiped down the table like she didn't exist. But she did exist, and she was about to prove it to the world. What no one realized was that Helena wasn't there by chance. The company had recently been acquired by a foreign investment group, and they needed someone trustworthy to handle the transition quietly. Guess who had been recommended by a former colleague from her time leading teams in Europe? Exactly, Helena. Within 48 hours, rumors started swirling through the halls. The new CEO was coming. There would be changes, layoffs, restructuring. No one knew exactly who it would be. Some guessed it would be an arrogant foreigner. Others hoped it would be someone from within. Then, on Monday morning, the main doors opened. All eyes turned toward the entrance. And who walked in? Helena. Her uniform replaced by a smart blazer, her steps calm, her posture firm, the same alert eyes now looking straight ahead. Silence, discomfort, confusion. One of the partners stammered, "Excuse me, the executive boardroom is reserved for a meeting with the CEO." To which she replied, with a gentle smile, "I know. Thank you for reminding me." The meeting that followed wasn't a public shaming, as many feared. It was a masterclass. Helena presented the data she had been quietly gathering. She pointed out weaknesses in leadership, and above all, she spoke about people, about wasted talent, about the toxic environment, about the urgent need for a culture of listening, empathy, and genuine appreciation. There were no raised voices, no revenge, just clarity, firmness, and a leadership style that commanded respect without a single offensive word. In the days that followed, the office changed. The first change, names. Helena requested that all ID badges include full name and educational background. The message was simple: no one is just a title. Then came the active listening policy. All departments had to consult frontline staff before approving any change. And finally, an internal mentorship program, experienced professionals mentoring younger ones. With no ego-driven hierarchy, those unable to adapt to the new culture were kindly invited to move on. No drama, no ridicule, Just respect, the same respect Helena had never been given, but had always carried with her. Today, Helena is a benchmark in transformative leadership. Her name appears in magazines, conferences, and high-level panels. Yet she still visits the cleaning department, greets everyone by name, and reminds people daily that true power isn't something you impose, it's something you build with consistency. And now I ask you, how many Helenas do you know, being underestimated every day? How many incredible stories will go unnoticed just because someone thought humility meant incompetence? Maybe the next great turning point in the corporate world is right beside you holding a broom or silently observing your moves. So if this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because the world needs to hear stories like this. Stories that disturb, that teach, and that remind us that no one is too small to dream big. Jennifer walked through the office hallways like someone who didn't want to be seen even, though she was essential. The lawyers barely looked her way, but they'd throw out those soft-spoken phrases laced with venom. "Good morning, miss. Make sure the floor shines, all right?" It was the kind of politeness that dripped arrogance, suppressed giggles, sidelong glances, and a constant feeling that she didn't belong. And the cruelest part, that was her daily routine, as if the contempt was already in the script. Between emptying trash cans and dusting desks, Jennifer overheard conversations that would make any investor think twice. They badmouthed clients, mocked interns, and sneered at anyone with a low salary, including her. But she smiled, not out of weakness, but out of strategy, because some people only speak freely when they think no one's listening. And Jennifer was there for much more than cleaning dust. No one imagined that the woman in a worn uniform was collecting priceless information. The same people who ignored her would laugh loudly about mergers, secret lawsuits, and buried scandals, thinking they were among their own. Jennifer pretended to sweep the floor, but what she was really gathering were clues. And the most ironic part, those who mocked her presence would be the first to feel her absence, when the truth became one of the firm's greatest stories. Behind the tattered uniform and cleaning rag was a framed diploma at home, and not just any diploma. Jennifer had a law degree specialized in corporate crisis management, something few in that building could even explain. But for now, she preferred silence over showing off. In a world that judges by appearance, disguised wisdom can be the strongest armor, and she wore it masterfully. For years, Jennifer had been shaped by hardship. She had to work double shifts to pay for college, care for her ailing mother, and endure the prejudice of those who never believed in her potential. The cleaning job was temporary, but what she was truly cleaning was the mask off the corporate environment. Every step she took was calculated, because when you know how the game works, disguising yourself as a disposable piece can be the smartest move. The office walls were cold, but Jennifer's eyes burned with strategy. While everyone saw her as the invisible night shift worker, she was already drawing up an action plan. She understood not just the law, but the moral voids that leadership in that place kept filling with vanity. It was only a matter of time before that cleaner showed she knew far more than anyone guessed. And that time was coming. Few would have guessed that the woman sweeping office corners had a confidential mission. Jennifer was there at the request of a group of international investors looking into buying the firm. But instead of sending in suited consultants, they chose someone who could see the raw truth, unmasked, and who better than someone invisible to observe everything up close. Every step she took was purposeful corporate espionage. There was no executive badge, no glass-walled office, just sharp eyes and trained ears picking up what no report ever shows. Inflated egos, interdepartmental disrespect, polished rudeness. Jennifer didn't judge, she documented. While some fought over bonuses and job titles, she noted leadership failures, contradictions in speeches, and toxic behaviors. It was silent mapping, but devastating in impact. Through fancy coffee breaks and hollow meetings, Jennifer moved unnoticed. But inside, she was like a spy who already knew where the building would collapse. She saw the company's potential, but also what was sinking it, and all she needed was one more push. Because when the truth starts forming quietly, the impact it creates becomes one of those unforgettable stories. That morning, the office vibe was the same as always: rushed routines, fake smiles, egos in the air. No one expected anything different, till a message popped up in the system: extraordinary meeting, mandatory attendance. Some grumbled, others speculated, but no one was ready for what came next. When Jennifer walked into the meeting room, all eyes froze. She was unrecognizable. Subtle makeup, confident posture, an elegant suit radiating authority. Beside her stood 3 foreign businessmen no one had seen before. The silence was immediate, razor sharp. Those who once mocked her now looked away, trying to make sense of the scene. It was like watching a play where the janitor becomes the lead on. No one had read the script. The executives tried to mask their discomfort, but Jennifer's presence said more than 1,000 words. The woman they had ignored, underestimated, and belittled, was now there not as staff, but as part of the new leadership. Their shocked expressions weren't captured by cameras but by their own consciences, because some stories don't need special effects to leave a room in awe, only poetic justice. Jennifer took a deep breath before speaking. She didn't need to raise her voice. Her authority was in her presence, her coherence, and most of all, in the silence she had carried for so long. Introduced as the new CEO responsible for the company's restructuring, she did what few leaders dare. She started by telling her true story. No sugarcoating, no embellishment, just the raw truth. And it was necessary. She exposed the failures she'd witnessed, the abusive conduct, and the toxic behaviors masked as competence. She spoke of how prejudice, arrogance, and a culture of fear were corroding the soul of the company. And she didn't spare anyone. Her eyes locked onto those who had humiliated her, not out of revenge, but for justice. After all, those who sow disrespect will reap consequence, and those who witness it up close never forget. With confidence, Jennifer declared a new era. She said the time of vanity over values was over, and in that packed auditorium, something bigger than a leadership change was born. A new way of seeing power, one that comes not from titles, but from lived values. And this, my friend, was just the beginning of one of those stories that transformed companies from the inside out. Jennifer's first decision was swift and cutting. 3 of the most arrogant executives, the same ones who laughed while she cleaned the floor, were fired on the spot. No lengthy speeches or chances to explain. Justice didn't wear a robe, it stood in her posture. The silence in the room was as heavy as the truths she had just revealed. And it wasn't about revenge. It was about what was deserved. Others, while not fired, were placed before a mirror called formal warning. They had to choose whether they wanted to grow with the company or stay stuck in the old culture of ego. Jennifer made it clear: respect, empathy, and ethics would be the new pillars, and those unwilling to climb to that level would have to leave the same way they entered, either with humility or the lack of it. The corridors began to change. Once toxic whispers gave way to respectful conversations. For the first time, fear didn't come from an authoritarian boss, but from one's own conscience. Because when leadership leads by example and, with truth, foundations shake. That's how Jennifer began rewriting those stories once defined by abuse, now open to transformation. Jennifer knew replacing names on the org chart wasn't enough. She needed to change the company's cultural roots, and to do that, she started with the basics: listening. She created weekly dialogue circles across all departments, where everyone from the janitor to the director had a voice. Meetings stopped being corporate monologues and became living spaces of genuine exchange. For the first time, listening mattered more than being right. She also launched internal programs for human development, encouraged reading, peer mentoring, emotional care days, and trainings focused on empathy and regenerative leadership. Goals began including well-being, not just numbers. And the most surprising part, results improved. Because when you truly care for people, companies blossom, and they blossom beautifully. Like all great stories, change came from within. The environment, once gray and competitive, gained color, lightness, and purpose. People smiled again, this time, genuinely. Jennifer didn't apply miracle formulas. She simply brought humanity to a place previously ruled by blind hierarchy. And when a team feels seen, it delivers the impossible. And that impossible was about to make headlines. On an ordinary morning, Jennifer announced something extraordinary. A committee formed solely by base-level professionals: cleaning, reception, maintenance, technical support. It was the first time these voices had microphones, agendas, and decision-making power. And the most amazing part, their ideas were brilliant. Simple, practical, and human solutions that improved processes and cut costs. Some raised eyebrows at first, of course, that old resistance of those who confuse job title with worth. But as results emerged, increased customer satisfaction and reduced internal waste, even the most skeptical fell silent. Jennifer proved, in practice, that good leaders don't speak for everyone. They create space for everyone to speak. And that great stories often begin with the courage to listen to what no one else wants to hear. Meetings were never the same again. The cleaning staff suggested switching products to more effective and sustainable options, immediate savings. The doorman proposed changes in the entry flow that reduced delays. And bit by bit, the once invisible began redrawing the company's blueprint. And those who once walked with their heads down now looked others straight in the eye. Just a few months after the restructuring, the numbers began shouting what only the heart had sensed before. The company had doubled its profitability, and what the reports revealed in figures, the organizational atmosphere showed in lightness. Jennifer turned respect into a strategic asset, and this wasn't a motivational speech. It was lived reality, because when an employee feels they matter, they give more, think better, and stay by choice. And that's when everything changes. Consulting firms from around the world started knocking on the company's door, eager to uncover the miracle method behind the transformation. The answer was so simple it caught people off guard: humanization. Jennifer didn't need imported formulas, only listening, consistency, and a courageous vision. She proved that empathy doesn't delay results, it accelerates them, and that companies wanting true growth must first respect the people who hold them up. The company became an international case study, invited to conferences, featured in articles, studied in MBA programs. But Jennifer didn't let the fame get to her head. She still walked the hallways, spoke with everyone, looked people in the eye, because she knew the greatest histories aren't built under spotlights, but in the warmth of truth shared. And it was that warmth that would go on to light up audiences around the world. At one of the world's largest events on diversity and leadership, the auditorium was packed. Lights dimmed, anticipation filled the room, and then Jennifer walked onto the stage. No podium, just her and a microphone in hand. No slides, no graphs, just a story, one of those that pierces straight through the heart of whoever listens. And when she said, "The greatest stories of leadership are born in the silence of the underestimated," the crowd held its breath. She shared every detail: the days spent sweeping floors while enduring humiliation, the nights spent studying strategy, the moments when she doubted herself but kept going. She said it wasn't easy, nor fast, but it was real, and that made all the difference. Silent tears rolled down the cheeks of executives who were used to hiding emotion, because deep down, everyone has felt invisible at some point. When Jennifer stepped off the stage, the audience rose in a standing ovation. But more than applause, she had achieved something rare: transformation. People left that room committed to listening more, judging less, and leading with soul. And that conference became just another chapter, because her story was only beginning. After all, some histories don't end. They inspire new beginnings. Now tell me, honestly, how many Jennifers have you seen out there, being underestimated, without ever having the chance to show who they really are? How many incredible people have walked right past you, with fire in their eyes, powerful ideas, and silent courage, but were ignored because of their uniform, job title, or how they showed up? It's more common than we think. And that's exactly why histories like Jennifer's need to be told, shared, and, above all, felt. Jennifer wasn't just a janitor. She was a natural observer, someone who could hear what others never dared to say out loud. As she cleaned the floors, she also swept away the prejudice around her, not out of anger, but with emotional intelligence. She saw the power dynamics, the ego games, the cruel jokes disguised as banter, and unlike many around her, she didn't let it get to her. Jennifer knew she was there for a reason, and more than that, she knew this was only the beginning of something far greater. How many similar histories are happening right now, in silence, without applause or recognition? How many people are hiding extraordinary potential because the environment around them doesn't allow them to bloom? Sometimes, all a Jennifer needs is someone to say, "I see you." But while that moment doesn't come, she plants the seeds of her own transformation. That's what Jennifer did, without noise, without revenge, without needing to prove anything to anyone except herself. When she returned as CEO, many were in shock. But the most beautiful part is that Jennifer didn't come back for revenge. She came back to lead with what had always been her greatest strengths: vision, empathy, and resolve. And here's the irony. The same people who once ignored her were now relying on her decisions. This turnaround isn't just a happy ending. It's a mirror, an invitation to reflect on how we treat those around us, especially the ones no one is paying attention to. Have you ever overlooked someone brilliant just because you looked too quickly and judged too fast? Could it be that the girl serving your coffee, the guy at reception, or that quiet intern carries within them one of the great histories yet to inspire the world? And more than that, maybe you are a Jennifer in the making, just waiting for the right moment to bloom. In the end, this story isn't just about a janitor who became CEO. It's about learning to see beyond. It's a living reminder that true power begins the moment we choose to see the invisible. When we stop repeating patterns that exclude and start cultivating eyes that welcome. The power to change the world lies in those who have the courage to change the way they see others. And maybe, just maybe, the next big transformation in your life is hidden right where you never thought to look. So if this story touched your heart in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, spread it, send it to someone who needs to hear it today. And of course, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow along for more inspiring histories like this one. Because the world needs, more than ever, people who don't settle for what they see, but choose to do things differently. People who understand that every person, no matter where they are, carries an entire universe of possibility within them. And when we start seeing the invisible, new histories begin to be born.